Hope you guys are able to see my screen. So can somebody confirm you guys are able to see my screen, right? Yeah, thanks for that. Okay. Okay. So yeah, well, actually, yesterday we were discussing about the spring actuator when we are winding off. So yeah, it is helping us, to find out the metrics and lot more information that it provides on our project. Okay. So now just I think from last 2 3 classes actually we were doing some exercises on Spring, okay, and with Spring MVC and also Spring Boot, right? So let us see what exactly Spring Boot, whenever we think something in the mind, we're like what is Spring Boot, whether if it is a Spring Boot is a competitor of Spring, something like that. Yeah, no, I just wanted to just give a clarity on that. Okay. Yeah. So if you see here, first, we started with Spring. Okay. And in the Spring accelerators, mostly like dependency injection. And we were using this at the rate component auto-wide and component scans, to find out uh, on on which classes that Spring has to take care, and you know it has to sorry. Yeah, it usually does that dependency injection and auto wiring. Okay, so those concepts only we saw it in Spring, right? But those things like just dependency injection and other other things, other some of the things which is really not sufficient to build a project, right? To build a project like web or something, REST calls and all, right? So so the next step actually Spring provided called a Spring MVC module. Okay, so this has helped us actually to build a web apps and REST APIs. Okay, and in here actually use controllers, REST controllers, okay, request mapping, all these things came in the Spring MVC. So that means Spring MVC provided more features, okay, than Spring, okay, and but internally it also allowed it also uses the features whatever we have it from Spring framework, okay. So what Spring Boot brought it to us, right? Spring Boot, we saw all the futures what exactly Spring Boot is helping us to build a project. Okay, so lot more things that Spring Boot has added to Spring and Spring MVC to make all the projects build very quickly, rapidly, and also make it as production ready. Okay, and you know I think you guys you have seen that, okay. In the previous example, we usually have those environmental related properties and environmental related uh, bond that it can be developed very quickly for all the environments without any without any problems, right? It is very seamless way. Okay, you can easily add those properties files and just mention that profile to Spring, okay, saying that okay, this is the environment, but for this environment, for this property that you need to load or something, that's it. So you should be okay to deploy those projects into different environments. Okay, and it not only for the deployment, actually it provided multiple things like actuator, embedded server, logging and error handling, dev tools. So all these things are helped us to build the project very quickly. So when you when you think about Spring MVC and Spring Boot, it's the revolutionary changes that happened inside Spring, and we got the Spring Boot, to make things very easy to build apps. So Spring Boot, it's not a competitor for Spring. Actually, Spring Boot is an API. Sorry, yeah, it's a framework. Okay, so which built top on which built on top of Spring framework. Okay, so I just wanted to give that clarity. So I just added this slide. Okay. Yeah, I know these are the topics that I think we covered on Spring Boot. Okay. So let us directly go ahead and jump into JPA. Okay. Yeah. So when it comes to the JPA, right? So what I've done actually, I have this is a project that I'm going to create. Okay, and we'll explain with the project itself, how and why, what we can do. Okay, with the GPAs and all. But for this, actually, we require a database, right? So, I did not configure any database in my local, so I'm going to use H2 database actually. So H2 is kind of the database what in-memory database. That's what you can say. Okay, so when the server is up and running, I think we can see that H2 database. Okay, and the server is down, actually your data will be lost. Okay, so whatever the things that I'm going to do, actually it is we have to do it in the H2 database whenever the server is up and running. Okay, so I'll show you. It's very simple actually, the H2 database and how to configure and all. Okay, so you don't require much things to install any of this, the Oracle DB at your local, or MySQL SQL Server or something in your local. You don't require to deploy, sorry, you don't require to install them. So it's most likely act as a database, but it's a in-memory database. Okay, so yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to write a program. Okay, a project. Okay, so first we will start with JDBC. Okay, and then we introduce JPA and Spring JPA, and also then Spring Data JPA. Okay, and we'll just start comparing the code. Okay, whatever we are writing. Okay, when it goes to Spring Data JPA. So so guys, if you see here with the Spring JDBC, we write lot of SQL queries. Okay, and write a lot of Java code in case of connecting for a DB, right? So in Spring JDBC, actually we write lot of SQL queries, but lesser Java code. Okay, so let's see. Starting with JDBC and Spring JDBC, and we'll go for JPA and then Spring Data JPA. Okay, let us come back to this slide once we have that project ready. Okay, and we'll continue from there. Okay, so let us. Okay. So guys, let's see. Yeah, first of all, let me go to the resources. Okay. I'll start with application.properties. Okay. So yeah, I will just start from here. Okay. So let me disable all these. Okay, no, let it be here and this one. Okay. Mm. Yeah. So what I've done, actually, I have created three different packages. Okay, and I just started with JDBC and then JPA and then Spring Data JPA repository. Okay, so all these things I have created it. Okay, but we'll start one by one. Okay, so before that, I wanted to introduce H2 database to you guys. Okay, so I just wanted to run this project. Okay, and I'll show you how to configure H2 database and all. Okay, so before that, yeah, I wanted to show you one more thing. One second. You see schema.sql over here, right? Okay, so okay, let me remove that. Okay, yeah, I wanted to show you that, so I'm just removing it. Okay, so yeah, I'm just starting the server. Okay, so what I've just done, I told the Spring, to enable the H2, okay, database console for us. Okay, yeah, one second. Okay, so I need to comment everything. Yeah, that's okay for us. Let's create, okay, the table, but I'll show you all those things. I think it is the issue with what is this data define. Okay, yeah, okay. Okay, let us do one thing. Okay, just let it run. Okay, and just create it. I'll show you what is happening. Yeah, as I mentioned, if you guys remember, like, as I mentioned, this H2 database is an in-memory database. Okay, so until unless you keep the server live, okay, you will have that H2 console to be accessible. And later, if you're not able to, like, if you don't want that, actually, if turn off the server, I think H2 database will also go down. Okay, you won't see those tables, data, whatever you have created, it won't be displayed. Okay, so let's go and start with H2 console first. Okay, so how do you access H2 console, right? So let me show you. H2 console is pretty much simple. Okay. Before going to the console, I just wanted to show you something, and we'll start, again this server one more time. So if you see, guys, like, H2 console available, it says, at the H2 slash H2 hyphen console, and the database available at the JDBC colon, H2 memory, and this is the unique, URL which we need to connect, right? So every time this unique URL that we have to connect, okay, whenever you restart the server. Okay, so what we are going to do now, for now, actually, I'm going to open the in-memory database, okay, localhost and H2, yeah, this one. Okay, so yeah, this is our entry point for the H2 database console. Okay, so I think first we need to log in. Okay, how you need to log in? Actually, copy this complete thing, copy, and if you see here JDBC H2 MEM, okay, just remove this and paste it here. Okay, and just click on connect. Okay, once you click on connect, I think you are able to see it, right? So the which we already have some schema.sql in the project. Okay, I have written some query to create a table. Okay, so it's already created a table called course. Okay, and select star from course. Okay, we don't have nothing, so but it created with 3 columns, right? So similarly, you can create those tables and all, from here. Actually, you can come here and create those tables, and you can play around, you can play with same as a database over here. Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just show you one small example. Yeah, so like this, I'm just trying to run some insert query. Okay, okay, so it inserted and retrieved. Okay, so in the database. So what I was trying to say, whenever you have, whenever you you go with H2 database, just remember that it's only in-memory database. Once you switch off the server, all the data, whatever you entered over here, actually it will be like, gone. Okay, you should not use this. So in real production, okay, just only, this is for temporary purpose. I was using it, to explain the concepts, how we can, you know, uh, how we can work with databases and all, right? So yeah, let me go back to the, project. Stop it here. Okay, now we'll start working on JDBC, right? So before that, okay, I wanted to show you something. In the H2 console, so every time when you start, it is going to create a new JDBC URL for you. You need to connect that. Okay, and whenever you wanted to log in, you have to change that URL one more time, and you need to log in, right? So to make it a constant, like a static way. So what we can do in the properties file, actually you can override that. How you can override? Yeah, just adding this property, spring data source.url and JDBC colon h2 first DB. So I'm saying that spring data source. Okay, you don't require to generate a new URL every time. Use this one as a default. Okay, so let's see whether it is going to uh, I'm just stopping the server. Okay, yeah, I'm just starting it. Okay, let's see the console now. So whether Spring was able to build that, okay, with the first DB JDBC URL or not. Okay. Yeah, see now it printed first DB. Simple, right? So every time whenever you start the application, actually you are going to log in with this HDB, first DB only. So let me go back to H2 console. Just tap refresh. So it is going to ask you for the login again. And instead of this, you can directly paste this and just click on connect. Okay, so this is what I was telling. Okay, so when you restart your server, last time we added one record, right? If you run this now, there is no records. Okay, so this is how it, the H2 in memory database. Okay, like let me go back and start working on JDBC. Okay, so yeah, so for this, what I've done actually, I have created a couple of classes. First is course. Okay, course is a bean. Okay, so which contains all these three elements, whichever we were talking about: the course ID and name and author. Okay, so if you see here, actually, you might be seeing all these entity, ID, and column. Okay, um, but okay, so in first when we are going with JDBC, okay, I don't think so. We do required about all these things. Okay, but yeah, because of I already combined the example with everything. Okay, so so you are seeing all those code. Okay. Yeah. Let me go with consider now it is a only bean. Okay. Which contains that login ID and name and author. Okay. So we'll go with course JDBC repository. Okay. So for the JDBC repository, right? I have created a class. Okay, and I have annotated with at the rate repository. So when I annotate with at the rate repository, right, making that class as repository where we have some mechanism to store, retrieve, or perform some operations on the database side. Okay, so Spring will understand that, okay, this is something related to database connections. Okay, so what I've done actually, I have used JDBC template. Okay, Spring JDBC template, which is going to help us to connect to the DB and write some, execute some queries. Okay, using that class JDBC template, right? So what I've done actually, I have auto wide it so that Spring will take care, the object creation and the dependency injection. Okay. Okay. So what I've done actually, I have written a couple of queries. Okay. Insert query, delete query, and select query, right? And in the insert query, I'm using Spring JDBC template and with an existing update method. Okay. And we are passing insert query. Okay. And in the insert query, actually, we were giving this question mark, right? The placeholders. Okay. One second. So, where is this? Okay, so initially when we have the JDBC code, right? Okay, so you know, I'm sorry, you know, just gave. So I was trying to combine all the examples, okay, JDBC, and that's why I was trying to explain you guys these things. But for JDBC, actually, this is the one which I have written. Okay, this is only for JDBC. Okay, so generally when we have the JDBC, okay, we were trying to insert something directly, something like this. Okay, so there is no placeholders and all. Okay, so when you see this one, right, insert. Okay, so we were using Spring JDBC template dot update, insert query directly without any passing those parameters. Okay, so all these kind of concepts was available in the Spring JDBC. So once this is our plain JDBC, okay. And when it comes to the Spring JDBC, actually, we were able to use this parameterized queries, and it's which is very easy actually to manage. Okay, so writing these kind of queries in the code was not suggestible, okay, for anybody. So because these things are like hard coded values and all. Okay, so and generally we in the projects, actually, we won't go with the hard coded values. Okay, so it's always the parameterized queries. Okay, so if you see here the parameterized queries, okay, what we are doing, insert and delete and also select by ID. Okay, so these things, like whatever you are seeing, update, and so we were trying to do insert query with the parameterized. We are trying to do a delete query with the parameterized things. And also when you are trying to retrieve, okay, so we were using Spring JDBC template query for object. Okay, so this is the method that we are trying to retrieve it, okay, the data from select query, whatever we have given here based upon ID. So what I've done, actually, I have used bean property row mapper class. Okay, so what it is going to do, whenever you try to retrieve something from ID, right? So you're going to get three elements, right? From database. One is ID, name, and author, right? So it is going to map that ID and you know uh, name and author to one class, right? That is our course class. So this bean property row mapper is going to help us to create an object of course class with data. Okay, and based upon the ID, how it retrieve. Okay, so that is how this line does. Okay, and when it is returning, it is going to return a course object with those details. Okay, which details? The ID which we are passing it. Okay, so let us we have written the repository class. Okay, I think for the JDBC and also Spring JDBC, right? Both combinedly we have written over here. And how to execute this, right? Okay, so we already given that at the right repository, so Spring will start managing this. Okay, uh, and let me go back to command line runner. Okay, so now what we are trying to do, we are trying to insert. Yeah, one second. Okay, one second. It seems like it's not working. Why? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you why it is giving that error. Okay. So just a minute. Let me stop the server. Okay. Okay. So if you see here, yeah, so I'm gonna use that Spring JDBC course JDBC repository as a repo now. And this command line runner, whatever it does actually when the project starts, okay. So you wanted to why I was using this command line runner, right? So as we are using H2 database, actually, whenever the server starts up, somebody should insert those table data and creating some tables in the background, right? For H2 database. So the command liner will help us, to run those things and to run the SQL queries, whatever we have it in the schema.sql. And also we can use those repos, okay, which are created, which are created and auto-wide by Spring JDBC, sorry, Spring, okay, for the repositories, whatever we created. Okay, and I'm trying to insert those records, okay, initially to it, okay, and so that we can delete something, right? So that's how I have okay. So let me just comment this because it is going to conflict with our 1 2 3 4. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I just commented. Okay. So what it's going to do, it is going to insert these 4 records and it is going to delete the third one. And let's see, okay, how it performs. And yeah, I'm just going to just enable this line also, and it is going to retrieve the 4th one. Okay. So this is the one which it is going to display in the log. Okay. Right. Let me start the server. Yeah, because of time permits, that's why I have already developed this project. Otherwise, I would have written write one by one class actually, for each and every different module of JDBC and Spring JDBC and also JPA and Spring JPA. So all those things I wanted to write something, okay, and I wanted to give that explain in the class, but yeah, we can't do everything, code writing and everything in the class itself. So yeah, because of the limited time. So let's see, those things are apart. Okay, so if you see here, it generally added those things, okay, uh, those 3 records into 4 records into there, and deleted the third record, and we were asking to print the 4th record over here, so it printed. So how do you know like whether it is really added all those records? Just go back to, okay, just go back to the H2 database console. Okay, now I think you need to again refresh it. So just go and click refresh and click on connect. Okay, you see here select course and just run it. Yeah, see 1 2 4. It deleted the third row. Okay, and whatever the one which you are looking for, the 4th one, it printed on the console, right? So what are all the queries that it is executing for these things, right? It is like you feel you are writing lot of SQL related queries and also lot of Java code. Okay, to it is like very limited Java code only, but still we are writing each and every thing, each and every concept. Okay, I know, assigning those parameters to the queries, and and we are trying to use those queries here, in the Java code, right? So with the JDBC, actually, we are going to write so much of code, and the the queries and all everything, it is like with the using JDBC, it is like little complex. And when it come to the Spring JDBC, actually we are writing the queries with a parameterized way. And also the code whatever we are trying to use, write it in in the Java. It is also a little simple, but still we can do some refinement, okay, on these things. So what kind of refinement that we have? So now let us discuss what JPA can provide to us, okay, about all these things, right? To minimize the writing code for this particular thing, and we don't require to write any queries, okay, for that one, okay. So let's see and check the JPA one, okay, compared to the JDBC repository. Okay, let me go to the JPA. I just closed the JDBC one, okay, and here, yeah, I'm just commenting this. Okay, yeah, now it worked actually. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to save it. Just okay, let's see now JPA, how JPA works. Okay, so instead of going with JDBC repository, I'm just opening course JPA repository. Wow. Okay, so now what we are doing actually for JPA, there are two things that we need to follow. Okay, first is the same as the previous one, the course JDBC, whatever we have written, it's a repository, and you have to annotate with at the rate transactional, for JPA. Okay, so for all the JDBC, like database connections. Okay, so JPA is taking care of transactional related things. Okay, whenever it performs any data related operations on database, so it is going to take care of the transactions. Okay, so for that reason you have to definitely add this at the rate transactional annotation on the class, okay, on the repository class. Okay, so and you might be observing something like we are using something called entity manager when it compared to the JDBC template, whatever we used it in the Spring JDBC and normal JDBC one, right? So what this entity manager does, actually this is an interface, okay? And this entity manager, okay, um, instance is associated with the persistence context, context. So you remember, like what we are doing auto wide, right? For the JDBC template. So now we are not using auto wide. We are using persistent context, right? So it is like a persistent context is a set of entity instances, okay, in which for any persistent entity identity, okay, there is a unique entity instance. Okay, so what we are trying to do now, instead of using auto wire, okay, we were trying to use at the rate entity, okay, sorry, at the rate persistent context, right? So so what this does, actually it is going to enable us, enable this class to perform all the insert, update, delete operations, okay, with simple methods that entity manager is providing. So it is like more than auto wired, and you will get more features, okay, than compared to auto wired, with the help of like entity manager class. So it is going to give you more features to execute these database related queries and the operation seamlessly. Okay, so that's why we go with persistence context, okay, as an annotation for entity manager. Okay, and let me go back. When you are using this, actually you have to change some code in course.java. What is that? We have to declare we have to declare an annotation for course, okay, as at the rate entity. So in this case, what we need to do, we need to maintain some, kind of naming conventions, okay. So in our case, actually, what we are trying to do, we are creating a course table, okay, and the course table name and class name should be same always. So if it is a different name, you have to use a different annotation, to hold it, something like this: at the rate entity name equals to test, okay. But you are using a course class, okay, instead of test. So, but in our case, actually, it is simple. We are using the same course, course thing for us. So what I've done, actually, I just, annotated at the rate entity over here on the top of the class. Okay, on top of the class. Similarly, I'm just giving a primary key, okay, at the rate ID. Okay, so this one. And for every column, you need to declare if the name of the column is also different. So you have to annotate with at the rate column. In our case, actually, we are using the same names, name and author. So I did not add it at the rate column on top of it, but I just mentioned in the comment, this is not required because the column names are already matching with the table names. Okay, so you don't require to add anything for the at the rate column. But the mandatory things that you need to do, you have to give a default constructor, and also, yeah, this is okay. The toString and toString I have added just to whenever we are printing something for the course object, it will get that toString, and it is going to print in the log. I think we already seen this, okay, in the log. For we are retrieving the fourth row of the course table, and yeah, you know that the fourth row will show you the details, okay, in the toString format. Okay, let me go to the next one. Okay, so it's very pretty much simple. These are the changes whatever we have done, and let me go back to the JPA repository. Okay, now you don't see any kind of queries in this class, right? So JPA tells us, okay, you don't worry about queries, okay, so I'll take care of it, right? Queries are, it's not difficult whenever it is a single table, but whenever it goes to multiple tables, joins and everything, yeah, that will become very difficult, right? So the JPA is going to provide various features, to all those things, not to write any kind of code. Okay, so, and also it provides direct mapping between the DB table and using that at the rate entity. So you don't need to worry about the table names, and you don't need to worry about the anything when you have that entity mapping with direct table, right? So let's see how this is going to work. Okay, and I just changed some of the methods, right? For insert, I'm using entity manager now. So what you're trying to do for insert, actually you're calling merge method with the course object. Okay, and entity manager find with the course.class and ID. And for retrieve, see, you are just calling the find method again, and once you get the course object, you are just giving to remove, right? For removing the one of the ID for delete. Okay, it is pretty simple. Okay, so these are the predefined methods which was there under the I'm sorry, entity manager. Okay, yeah, let me go ahead and run it, okay, with the JPA. And in the command line runner, I already changed this to JPA instead of the previous one, so that at least we'll see that some data is getting inserted based upon the JPA side. Okay, and what I'm gonna do, I'm going to comment the JDBC repository, and I'll just enable the JPA repository, and I'm gonna auto wire it, okay, to this class. So let's see how it does. Run as Java application. Okay, done. It's already started, and it printed AWS JPA. So that means it executed this JPA, the insert whatever we are trying to do, and it added those things into the database. Let's see whether it is added or not. Okay, and you need to refresh it again, right? Refresh. Okay, so connect. So let's start from course. Yes, see, Java JPA, full stack JPA, and AWS JPA. Okay, so it added those records into the table. Okay, let me go back, and see now. Okay, so if you wanted to see how the GPA is, performing all these queries, okay, inside it, right? There is a property that you can enable, to see the inline queries which are fired by JPA. Okay, so that is spring.jpa.show SQL is equals to true. Okay, let me save it, and you will see all the queries. Okay, see, if you see here, I just click save. I don't require to perform, to restart and all, because I already, uh, you know, uh, I already got the dependency of Spring. Yeah, I already I like using the Spring Dev Tools. Okay, so because of that, when I click save on the application properties, actually it restarted the server, and see, you are seeing all those queries, whatever it is trying to execute. Okay. Um, Okay, see here, it delete query, it fired, and then it fired select query, to retrieve the fourth object. Yeah, all those things actually. Okay, so it is like there are a lot of select queries and insert queries, select queries and insert queries. Why it is having select query before insert query? No, like, every insert query is having a select query before that. Why JPA is doing that? Okay, let me tell you, because we have a primary key at the rate ID which we defined in the entity level, okay, in the code. So what Hibernate is trying, it was just making sure that the ID is not having any duplicate values. So whenever you try to insert something, first actually it is going to fire a select query on top of insert query to verify whether we have a record of it or not. Okay. So let's see one small change, okay, in the code. Okay, let me go to course command line error. Okay, so yeah, instead of, okay, let me add one more extra here. Duplicate. Okay, I'm just saving it. Okay. Yeah, now let me go. Okay, see, okay, this is for the initial way. Sorry. Yeah, let me go back to the console and log in. Okay, one second. Let me just comment the remove delete one. Okay, let us execute this. Yeah, if you see here, so Spring is not, the JPA is not throwing any error. Actually, what it is going to do, it is not replacing that, that, primary ID key. Actually, instead, giving an error, it is trying to update it. Okay, so update the records whatever we are passing it. Okay, so it is stating us, because why this is happening, we were using merge, okay, in the course JPA repository for insert, right? So that is the reason, actually, it is not giving you an error. So okay, it is silently merging with the same primary ID, whatever the data that you are trying to provide. And all these are this is the reason, actually, it is going to fire the select query before, firing an insert. Okay. Okay, so now you have seen the changes whatever we have done, okay, between the normal JDBC and Spring JDBC and also the JPA, right? This is the JPA, right? So when it comes to the JPA, we already using very limited code, and we are not worried about SQL queries and all, right? But still, what Spring JPA can provide us, okay, we are writing very limited code. What we can achieve using Spring JPA, we will try to learn that now. Okay, so it's very simple. And what I've done for that, actually, I have created one more extra class. Okay, um, so not class, actually, an interface. Okay, to handle all these things, right? So let me go here. Okay, so this is our interface, course Spring Data JPA repository. Okay, let me open that and I'll show you the code, whatever we have written in the database. Okay, before that, I'll just comment this and this. Okay, and this, right? It's not required, no longer required. Okay, okay. Let me stop it here. Save. Okay, so let me open this. See, you don't have any code, actually. Okay, so forget about these two methods. Okay, and this is the, okay, let me remove it. Okay, this is the code that we are going to write when you perform queries, or when you perform any database related operations. This is what required when you use Spring JPA. Okay, so Spring Data JPA, sorry. Okay, so where is the code, right? We don't have any code. Okay, Spring Data JPA is very simple, to uh, you know to 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 perform all the database related operations. Okay, so how it is going to execute, right? Let's see that. Okay, what you're telling, to Spring, there is an entity which I already created. Okay, and it has the primary key and all those details, which is course. Okay, so you are creating an interface saying that course Spring Data JPA repository, which is going to extends the JPA repository. This is our main repo, and what it is expecting, right? It is expecting your table mapping class and the primary ID. Okay, what primary ID type? Okay, it is long, right? Because our ID, we declared it as long. Okay, so the JPA repository is going to take care of all the operations, okay, what we are trying to perform, okay, on DB. So let's see how it does. Okay, let me save this. And there are two methods which I copied. Okay, let me save it here. Okay, now let me go back to command line runner, and I think I need to like just enable these things. Okay. So, okay, why it is giving an error? Okay, so I just need to just enable this auto wide with our Spring Data repository. Okay, just comment these 4 lines. I'll tell you what exactly it is, Spring GPA and all. Okay, yeah. So see now. So, but what you need to do, you need to use this predefined methods, to save, delete, and find. So what I'm trying to use it over here, I'm just using report.save, for all these things, and for report.find ID, for retrieving some elements, data, and all. And for deleting, actually I'm using, the same way, the course ID. Okay. So let me run this now, and we'll see the output. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to take another 2-3 minutes. Okay. Yeah, please be there. Yes, it's done. Okay. So if you see here, it is trying to retrieve the number of count in the table. So because I have used count, and actually it printed find all. Okay, so this is our find all one, and Java Spring Data JPA, and 2 and 4, because we deleted the third one, right? And we asked to print actually for the second one and fourth one also. So it printed the second one, ID2, and it printed the fourth one. Okay. Yeah. And we asked them to delete it. Okay. So it deleted the third one. Okay. With the help of this query. And we asked actually to insert, right? These data into database. Okay. Using the save. It inserted. So let's see in the database side. Let's go there and just click refresh. And yeah, again, I need to log in and select the course, run it. See, Java training, and this is a Spring Data JPA, Spring Data JPA, and Spring Data JPA. Perfect, right? It inserted everything. And when you check back the code, what did you write? We have written only the data to be stored and the data operations that you wanted to perform. This is the only code that you have written, except creating an interface, right? This is always common. Okay, so it should be there for all the things, but yeah, this is a very common code, but we reduced almost all the lines of code into one single line, to perform the JDBC operations. And the very good feature of Spring Data JPA, right? You are allowed to use all the methods whatever you see under the Spring database repository. Okay, the JPA repository, whatever the methods it is providing to you. And also you can use user defined methods. Okay, based upon your requirement. What you exactly need to do, you just need to do something like this. Okay, just declare a user defined method under this interface. Okay, what I'm trying to do now, I'm just using find by author. Okay, so you need to follow a specific naming convention. Find by is a like if you wanted to search something, you have to use find by and followed by the column name. Okay, so author is one of our column name, right? And actually I have written one more method, which is find by name. This is also the same way. Let me stop the server. Okay, and let me go back to here, and I'm just enabling these things. Okay, now see, we don't have any error, so it is trying to retrieve that. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so how these things work, and we'll wind off the session. Okay, run as Java application. There you go. It started. Yeah, see, now I think the count was we have checked this last, and the command line runner, if I go here, where I'm just looking for AWS training. I'm trying to say that, find author which is having AWS training. So it picked up that AWS training and it printed that here, right? Report.find. So for, to make sure this find author is working properly, I just added a given a blank thing. So it did not return anything. So author is not having any blank values. Okay. So it is like, the same way the find by name, I was just looking for full stack Spring Data JPA. So it pulled this full stack Spring Data JPA name based upon this, and it printed the second course ID, course object completely. The same way, we don't have any blank objects, for Spring Data for the name. So it printed an empty result. Okay, over here. See, it's very simple, right? Okay, so when we use, Spring Data JPA. So that's why, when you come to the JPA and Spring Data JPA, it make us it make the operations between the database much more simple than compared to all other providing by the JDBC and Spring JDBC and JPA. Okay, so Spring Data JPA simply says that, okay, I'll take care of everything. Okay, you just need to worry about what you wanted to insert, what you wanted to perform an operation. You just take care of that. That's it. Okay, so that's all from Spring Data and the comparison between all these things. I think I'm hoping you guys understood these concepts clearly, because this is going to help you whenever you are in the project. So yeah, hoping you guys are okay, got this concept. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Okay, we can discuss on the next class. But for now, for today, actually, this is the we are going to wind up now. Okay, yeah, thank you all. Okay, and if you have any questions, just ping me. Okay, right now, or else we can connect tomorrow morning also. Sorry, tomorrow evening. Okay, I'm taking it as no. For the questions. Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you all.